It's time for you to level up on Voice123.
You're a voice actor. You're an entrepreneur. You're a VOPRENEUR. Welcome to the Everyday VOPRENEUR podcast, your guide through the business of voiceover.
Your voiceover demos are your #1 marketing tool, and you need to display them on your website in a way that works on any device or browser. VoiceSam is the player producers love. Plus, it offers tools that can improve your email signature, quickly create a one-page website, and much more. Sign up now at voicesam.com/markscott and get 3 months of the base player for the price of one. That's voicesam.com/markscott for full details and to sign up.
The VOPRENEUR podcast. Hey, it doesn't suck.
Not as funny as Conan. Not as cute as Seth Meyers. Not as smart as Colbert. But he's one of us, and that counts for something. Here's Mark Scott, the original Everyday VOPRENEUR.
Hello, and welcome to the Everyday VOPRENEUR podcast, your guide through the business of voiceover. I'm Mark Scott, the original Everyday VOPRENEUR, ready to kick off. I don't want to specifically call it another season, but let's just say that it's another chapter in the Everyday VOPRENEUR podcast, where we're going to shift directions just a little bit for a little while and see how things go. Now, obviously, my primary objective is still to give you actionable, practical advice that you can use to grow your voiceover business. But rather than all of that advice coming exclusively from me, I'm hoping to be able to get some advice coming from some people who have expertise in other areas, giving you a different take, a different perspective. And I think in the process, we're all going to learn things. So for the next little while, I'm going to be interviewing some people that I think have a ton of value to offer to your business as a VOPRENEUR. Casting sites are often a big part of the business strategy for many voice actors, and one of the biggest among those sites is Voice123. Now, if you've registered for a membership but have struggled to wrap your brain around the algorithm and the quote-unquote rules, both spoken and seemingly unspoken, of the site, chances are you've thought at least once about letting your membership slide while you shake your fist angrily at the screen in a moment of frustration. And that is where my guests come into the picture with their bright red capes securely fastened. They are ready to save you from the system and help you get out of the dreaded lower percentile basement of the Voice123 rankings. So welcome, Natasha and Catherine, a.k.a. the V123Pros.
Oh, thank
Hello.
you.
I need to get a cape.
I think that should be on the like on your Christmas wish list or something, maybe.
Yeah.
You get it deckled.
Done.
Yep.
You know, somebody with a Cricut machine that can do like the heat transfer vinyl or whatever, they can make it up for you.
I have one.
There you go. Oh, Natasha, I know what you're getting for Christmas.
Sounds good.
All right, look, there's one thing we have to cover before we get into this, which is quite possibly the most important question that anybody's going to ask. Natasha, you have to tell us all how to properly pronounce your last name.
Marchevka.
It's not that bad. And I actually love that when you go onto your website, there's a little icon that you can click that pronounces it for you. That is genius.
So important.
Anybody with a name more complicated than Mark Scott should have that little button on their website that they can click that it pronounces the name.
Agreed.
I love
Thank
it.
you for asking, though.
So give us a little bit of background on V123Pros and tell us a little bit about how you guys came together, created the site. How does one end up being a V123 super nerd, I think is really the question here.
It's a special quality that we just realized that it was us. So I've been using Voice123 since 2007, a pretty long time. Off and on, really. I've had a paid membership for quite a long time and sometimes not, but mostly yes, and finding quite a lot of success the past 3 years while a lot of people were lamenting the changes of version 3. And I thought, there's a couple of things that were happening. I was doing well and so many people were frustrated. And so I thought I'm going to share my tips with my workout group. So, I just asked the owner of the workout group, do you think I could just do a webinar for them? Because I want to elevate the game. And plus, from my perspective, the online casting site only improves with people that know how to use it effectively. So I wanted to teach people how to use it effectively. And Catherine happened to show up to that webinar back in, I think it was September 2020. Yeah.
Almost been a year.
It has. And I was asked, when are you going to start charging people to do their profile for them? And I said, I'm not. I don't want to do that. And the next day, Catherine said she would be interested actually in doing something like that because she's super tech oriented and was isolated like we all are working in our booths. And she thought this would be a great way to reach out to the community. And suddenly we had a partnership and it evolved magically. Didn't it, Catherine?
It did. So different than our original idea of, one-on-one help people with their profiles. Right. And, wait, this is completely overwhelming because everyone needs help with this. And we have these secrets that we want to share with the world. And a webinar turned into another webinar, which turned into, should we put this online? Because then at least we can help a lot of people at once.
Yeah.
And then it turned into multiple modules and workshops in VO Atlanta. And here we are almost a year later. I cannot even possibly have imagined everything that happened over the last year.
As somebody who coaches, I always appreciate when someone recognizes that there comes a moment when you have to learn how to scale, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I started out doing one-on-one sessions, and then I realized, man, if I keep doing all these one-on-one sessions every day, I'm never going to have time to get any of my voiceover work done or
Exactly.
anything else that I have to do. So I always know when I see somebody coming out with a course, I'm like, okay, there's somebody that figured out how to do this at scale, which, I mean, that's so key. One of the things that I think is really important too, we assume that casting sites are all about performance. And obviously, if your demos are no good, or if you don't have the ability to read a script, that is certainly going to come into play. But with Voice123, there's obviously more nuance to it. And I think that's where the frustration comes in for a lot of people, because there is a system and it does have to be worked a certain way. And if you work it the right way, good things can happen. If you work it the wrong way, it's like I said in the beginning, you end up in that basement that you don't want to be, in the lower percentile. So you guys have figured it out, put it into a course.
It's definitely a game. It's a game and you have to play to win.
That's it. It's like a puzzle, right? Somebody's got to put the pieces of the puzzle together. So let's get into this. Voice123 has 9 different tiers. Correct me if I'm wrong. So before we even start trying to figure out how we're going to make the platform work, do you guys have any advice on how somebody chooses which of the tiers is the best option?
We totally do. Because initially it was the main question that we kept receiving from people that were thinking about upgrading or buying, and they'd say, well, what should I buy? And it's hard when you don't know the person and you don't know their history. So we actually have a free PDF on our website that tells you, it gives you advice on which membership is right for you. So we do recommend set up a free membership to fill out your profile, and then go for a premium membership because it's pretty standard. It's unlikely that you're going to lose money at $395 a year. It's worth investing in. But at the end of the day, I really believe that you need to invest more money if you feel confident with the platform. Once you feel confident with the platform, then you can spend more money. So it takes time to see what you should do. But I feel very strongly that you should have a good percentile as a premium member at $395. That's, this sort of standard membership before you make any other decisions.
So kind of giving it a chance, not just jumping in at the top tier. You're saying let's kind of ease our way into this and graduate slowly. Is that kind of the theory?
I started out in the $395 level when there wasn't a free tier. I might have originally tried it out, got my feet wet, set up my profile, but $395 was, the bare minimum you had to do before. Now you can set up a free profile, and I have never changed from the $395 level, and I do just as well as I need to, get plenty of auditions, and I'm not a platinum member like Natasha is. Okay,
so are there incentives? Like I know a lot of people that buy in, I believe it's like the $7.99 or $8.99 or it's somewhere in there. And that seems to be a very popular choice. Are there incentives as you go up, or does the system work differently? Does it change how the algorithm works?
It doesn't change how the algorithm works. Certainly, the stats right on the Voice123 membership page tells you once you plug in your language and your gender and age, it tells you how many competing voice actors are at the level at which you'd like to pay and how many search appearances you'll be in and how many invitations you're likely to receive. So it's very cut and dry in terms of giving you that information. However, the percentile, as you mentioned, plays in so much that back to your question about, should you invest a lot of money? If you jump in there and play the game too overzealously, let's just say, that can work to your detriment no matter how much you've paid. So you have to really know how to use the platform optimally before you spend a lot of money. What would you say, Catherine, about that?
Yeah, I just want to touch on this thing that we're kind of throwing around about your percentage on the platform. There might be people listening that aren't as familiar with Voice123 as we are. There's a statistic on the website that says, you are in this bucket of people, of all of the different voice actors on the website. There's this percentage of voice actors, and it's based on the number of thumbs up or likes of your auditions that you get over a course of 12 months. And it's a little bit of a mystery because it doesn't always show up on your profile unless you're in the top 30, top 20, or top 10. And so for a lot of people, they can just be wondering, why am I getting crappy auditions in the middle of the night and I'm not really seeing any return on my investment? This is the biggest thing you need to look at first is what percentage grouping are you in? And then kind of go from there. There's other, strategies and things we can tell you about based on where you're starting.
So this is where Voice123 gets a little bit more complicated from some of the other casting sites, because on a lot of them, the general assumption is you just audition as much as humanly possible. And if you do that, eventually, hopefully, a few of them are going to stick. You're going to book some jobs. You're going to make some of your money back. But a lot of casting sites are not designed the way that Voice123 is. It's a totally different game. So you're saying the idea of just auditioning as much as possible is actually really the wrong strategy to take on the site.
Absolutely, 100%. We have another free PDF on our site, 5 strategies for keeping your V123 percentile up. And they're quite simple, but they're not easy. And one of the points, and certainly pipe in here, Catherine, when you're ready, but don't audition for things that are a stretch. So you don't want to just try everything like you can do on other platforms, because you want to get the thumbs up. You want to get that percentile up and maintain it. And so it's actually not a place to take creative risks. You actually have to stay in your lane and do what you know you do well so you can maintain that flow of auditions and opportunities. It's a real balance to get the thumbs up, but also once you're there and you know your lane, it's fantastic.
So yeah, we like to say that it's not as beginner friendly as some other sites where maybe you're just, brand new to VO and you're trying to get your feet wet and check out some different types of VO. The platform unfortunately does penalize you a little bit in that way, because if you're not doing stellar auditions, getting the thumbs up, then your percentile can kind of tank. And then in the future, when you have got your chops, you're starting out in a worse position than others might have been if you had, say, spoken with us or taken our course or listened to this podcast and not really known about this whole percentile thing.
So the irony of the system is that a lot of voice actors see that as detrimental to their ability to succeed. And they're saying, I paid my $400 or whatever, and I should be able to audition for everything. But if you look at it from the proper perspective, or at least what I would assume is the proper perspective, you see that this is actually built to help make you better, because it forces you to kind of narrow your focus down, right? Like it forces you to really think about, what do I actually have the ability to deliver as far as voices or genres that I work well in, et cetera. And it forces you to be more strategic. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah,
I think so.
From a casting director's perspective and from Voice123, they don't want to present casting directors with a ton of different people trying their very first character or their very first commercial. They really want to make sure that the people auditioning for those projects are going to be top quality for their clients.
Right. And one of the things that I always encourage voice actors with when you're doing these casting sites. It's really easy to get caught into this pay to play mentality where your phone goes off and it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're at the grocery store, you're in the backyard, you're holding the baby, whatever. Oh, audition, and I got to go running down to the studio to record that audition because if I don't get in the first 10, nobody's ever going to hear it or whatever. But you alleviate some of that pressure from yourself when you start to use it a little bit more strategically. Don't check off every one of the boxes for every genre, right? Think about the ones that you're most likely to book. I'm guessing the ones that you have demos in. I'm assuming that's a factor as well. And all of that comes together to help make the site work better for you, right?
Totally. I think one of the secrets of both of our success, as I've watched Catherine have tremendous success as well, is life is first and auditions are maybe third. We don't jump when there's an audition. When we're ready to go to the site, we go to the site and we pick and choose what we think are perfect and off we go. So unlike many people, I don't do more than, say, 3 auditions a day from this particular site. I'm slow and steady wins the race. And I think Catherine has done the very same thing. So that's been a huge factor in our success because in terms of strategy, yes, you want to choose wisely, then audition carefully, putting enough time and effort, not wasting your time on just throwing a bunch of stuff out there and off they go and making it a numbers game, although that certainly is a factor. But we really invest in the audition within reason and then move on and just keep chipping away for the long term, essentially.
And we have that ability because of the higher percentiles that we are in, because we will get auditions sooner than folks in lower tiers. And your membership does also play a part into that. Natasha will always get things first before me because I pay less, and that's just how that platform works. But if you're seeing things on the platform that's always full, there are always 55 out of 50 people, a lot of that can have to do with your percentile on the platform because every audition is sent to you in buckets. So Natasha's going to be in group maybe 1 or 2, and I'm going to be in group 5 or 6. Maybe someone in the bottom 40% is going to be in group 13 or 14. So things kind of end up trickling down through the different groups before they get to people. And it also has a lot to do with your ethnicity, what age ranges you can play, what categories you're in, and things like that. But there's a lot of different things to why and how you get auditions.
It seems so counterintuitive because for a lot of voice actors, if they're not booking, the solution is I need to audition more. And what you guys are saying on this site is if you're not booking, you probably need to audition less.
It is kind of what we're saying, Mark.
That is what you're saying. But it makes sense because, again, right, we're playing a game. This is not like the other casting sites. This is an algorithm-driven site that works differently. So it's interesting because it's not what most people would think to do, and that's why it's important that they hear it. So
that's why we have things to tell people. We want to help.
We've talked a little bit about the percentiles. Now, Voice123, they had a ranking system at one point that drove a lot of voice actors insane. Mm-hmm. And I know that even Voice123 themselves admitted that the system was flawed, that the voice seekers weren't using it properly. Mm-hmm. They were using it to, bookmark talent or different things like that. So as they've improved the algorithm and continued to develop this, I think you said it was version 3, has the ranking system changed for better or for worse? And does that factor into the percentile? Is it strictly just a thumbs up, thumbs down now?
It's a really good question. Actually, there's no thumbs down. So that just to clear that up with everyone.
Okay.
Only a thumbs up. Now they can turn off the thumbs up if they've given it. So that's also a way that I believe buyers sort their auditions. So they might give 10 a thumbs up and then take some thumbs up off and just leave 2 or something. So it is another way to sort their auditions. But other things are a factor that are complex, such as how many times, and this isn't very well known, but it's listed on their site. How many samples does a listener listen to or a buyer listen to when they get to your site? And different factors. Can you elaborate on that, Catherine? Because there are a few more details.
So when you search for someone on the site. So not auditions. We're not talking about auditions. Just when a buyer goes and searches for someone, maybe they search for conversational or warm or friendly, whatever keyword. There's a number of factors that go into the algorithm of who gets shown on the first page, what order, and that's all based on a number of things. It's what membership you pay for. So the Platinum folks are always going to show up on the first few pages unless someone else matches better, whether it be language, age range, a very specific keyword type. And the one that Natasha's mentioning, there's a statistic where they keep track of a buyer going to someone's profile, listening to a sample, how long they spend before they send you a message, which is not a stat you will ever know, which is quite crazy. And you can't really keep track of that. But there's a couple other ones too. We think that there's something to do with whether your membership is up for renewal or maybe you just renewed it. There's some things around that.
You don't think so, really?
They don't list it, but I think that they've told you that, Natasha?
Oh, no. Well, I think Mark is well aware of it too. That's why. Yeah, when your membership comes up for renewal, for the Platinum folks anyway, your profile goes up to the first page and it sifts through. Now, I know there's been talk of juggling it so that the Platinum folks get sort of juggled around more than once a year or once a term. I don't know the exact details about that, but I have seen that also with the upper premium people, that they tend to be higher up if their membership is approaching, from 2 weeks away or 2 weeks into their membership. But just to solidify, there is this little paragraph that says how search ranking works. And so sample availability is the thing. So that, do you have a sample in a certain category? And then response rate, how quickly you answer messages. So there's a lot more to it just than how much you pay and what percentile you're at. But those are certainly the strongest, most powerful things in the algorithm.
I'm having this little Big Brother is watching moment, as I'm listening to you talk about the algorithm and all the things that it's monitoring and all the variables that go into it. And on one side, I'm completely fascinated by it. And on the other side, I'm this is what scares the crap out of me about the internet.
Yeah, I've surrendered to all that.
The internet is here to stay. So we're just learning how to play the game the best we can.
Now, one of the things that you mentioned when we were talking about the rankings was keywords, which brings up another question that I think is really important. SEO is a word or a phrase that makes my brain hurt. Most people feel the same. But in the algorithm-driven search of Voice123, SEO is something that members need to have at least a basic familiarity of. So talk to us a little bit about how SEO factors into 123 when it comes to your profile. What can you do?
Yeah, so SEO, for those that don't know, is search engine optimization. It's what Google uses and Bing and Yahoo and all the rest of them. Think back to the days of AOL keywords. Keyword search has been around for a long time, and it's essentially what do you type into that search bar that then the algorithm decides what to show you. It's trying to figure out what it wants to show you first so that you find what you're looking for immediately. And that ties into the keywords that you put in the sample titles on your Voice123 profile. So for each one of your playlists, you're going to have samples, and each one of those samples has a title. Those titles need to be composed of various keywords that then the algorithm takes a look at and says, oh, okay, this hirer searched for Etsy ad. Catherine, you have an Etsy ad in your playlist, and it is labeled Etsy ad, cute, conversational, etc., etc. So the algorithm says, all right, I think that this person searching for Etsy ad is going to find what they're looking for because you have a sample called Etsy ad, and it will present me on hopefully the first page. I think it still does. Does that make sense?
So gone are the days of just throwing up and being this is my commercial demo, my corporate demo, my e-learning demo. You actually have to put a little bit of thought into it. And obviously, the more thought that you put into it, and I'm guessing the more accurate, you can't just make it all up, right? But that comes into play with where you're going to return in the results. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah, because you can definitely still call your commercial demo, but you might show up on page 345. which is not great.
I'm sure somebody got an opportunity on page 345 one time in the history of the site, but yeah, we want to do a little better than that, probably.
When was the last time you went to page number 3 on Google?
It's true.
So with Voice123, I'm thinking like maybe 10 pages, probably pretty good.
Well, further to your question, Mark, about keywords in your profile. So Catherine mentioned the sample titles. And what we do see a lot is people putting keywords in their profile itself, and it really doesn't have that power. The power is in the samples, not in the actual profile. But where we really recommend people, finesse and use the proper words, not only in your sample titles, is the sort of all the branding titles, the opportunity, the space you have, the real estate, to do it for the visual benefit of saying how you differ from other talent, the thousands of talent that are on there. It's not like LinkedIn where everyone's different, they have different jobs. You're competing against people that do the exact same thing as you. So move on from warm, friendly, and conversational and use words that are very specific to your voice tone and style. And you really only have to use a keyword once for it to be powerful at all. Do not over spam your site with keywords, especially ones that aren't the truth of who you are. Do not put a block of keywords on your profile. It's absolutely useless and looks spammy. Be effective with everything you do and strategic by doing it well and carefully. Same goes for auditions, same goes for your profile.
And this is one of those areas where the business side of me sees, if I'm going to make a $400 investment in this site, or a $600 or an $800 or a $2,000 or whatever the different platforms are, if I don't understand this stuff, this is one of those things where getting somebody like you two to help me with this makes my investment that much more likely to produce a return, because it is a lot to take into a consideration. But again, it's trying to game the algorithm and figure out some of this stuff. Marketing your voiceover business can feel really hard. It can feel really overwhelming. Like, there's so many things that you have to do. There's so many things that you have to know. There's so many different concepts that you have to be able to wrap your brain around, and that can be paralyzing. I want to help make it easier for you. The Voiceover Marketing Playbook is coming out again from September 7th through the 16th, and this course is designed to give you all of the foundational marketing information you need to know to help you find your own leads, build your own client base, and become the consistently working voice actor that you want to be. This course demystifies a lot of stuff and just gives you actionable, practical advice. Here's what you need to know. Here's how you need to do it. Here's what you need to say. And when you put all of those things together and you start building a client base for yourself, and you start seeing some income coming in, and you start seeing your business grow, it feels pretty amazing, because you realize that you've got a business that you've built. And that's a very empowering feeling. So let me help you. Voiceover Marketing Playbook, 6-hour video course. Again, it is coming out September 7th through the 16th, 2021. The last time it's going to be available this year. All the details are at voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. That's voiceovermarketingplaybook.com.
Now, back to our show.
Okay, so I like this podcast to be, I say it's all about actionable, practical advice. You know, I want you to walk away from an episode feeling like there are one or two things that you can do today that are going to improve your business. So from a Voice123 standpoint, let's talk about a couple of things that any voice actor, with regardless of their level of membership, whether they're a premium or a platinum or whatever, what are a couple simple things that you think that they could do to move the needle on their platform success?
It's a level playing field. VoiceOver is a level playing field, and the internet's a level playing field. So if your profile looks professional, no typos, cohesive sentences, and words that stand out that are unique to you. And that doesn't just mean your voice description. It also means what other professional experience do you have in any other industry, so that a buyer knows that you have been a working professional in business and they can rely on you. Make sure that everything that we can see and hear raises your game to the level playing field instead of paints you as an amateur. That's super, I don't want to say easy. It's simple, but not easy. But look at other people's profiles, make sure everything's filled out as they say ad nauseum, but make it look pro and don't be lazy about it. And that is step number one. I think step number two, keep going back to the craft and being educated and coached, super important so that you know that things are bookable. What else, Catherine, do you think?
There's a couple things that you need to do that are pretty simple if you want to commit your time to this platform. It's not really a website that you sign up for and then you just let it sit there and expect things to come to you.
Right.
You want to make sure that you look like you are active on the platform all the time, because there are two different metrics that people can see. On your profile, it'll show a buyer when you were last active. So what I do is I just have a tab open on all of my computers and I click on it once a day and I hit refresh. So it always shows that I've been quote unquote active that day. And there's another one about the response time to messages. The second you get a message, you should have it turned on where you get an email about it. Go and click on it and make sure that it has been read. Even if you don't respond to it immediately, that's what gets recorded on your profile, is how long it takes you to respond to messages. And that does play into the search algorithm. The other one just makes it look like, hey, if someone's going to message you, you're actually going to respond back. You are active on the site and you are participating. So I would say if you're going to be on Voice123, you need to actually be on Voice123 and not just like make an account and let it sit there.
Yeah.
This has been highly educational for me because I have not had an active membership on the site for several years. And so there was a lot that I didn't know. One of the things that I think that's really standing out to me, though, is a complaint amongst the industry at large is so many new people, particularly during COVID, so many new people come in and they go out and they buy their microphone and they sign up for a casting site and away they go. And now there's all these new voice actors and everybody complains about how complicated, or, you know, and I say that in quotes, that Voice123 makes it. But everything that you have told me and the way that the site works and this understanding that I have of it now says that this is a casting site that is built for legit professionals. This is a casting site that is built for people who are willing to learn a little bit, do a little research, figure it out, work the site, play the game. And that actually makes me respect what they've got going on a whole lot more. So thank you for all of the insights, because I do think that I hope that it changes the perspective for voice actors who just think that the algorithm is out to get them, so to speak.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's definitely not set up for folks that are brand new, which is a detriment to people who are brand new, but nice for people that have been in the industry for a while.
It's actually was my mission to make sure I educated people that are talented voice actors on how to use it, because I want clients to keep coming back to Voice123. I want it to be a legit site for the long term. And so you need to use it appropriately and be available and have the actual pro talent available there instead of people that don't know what they're doing. So, of course, Voice123 was happy that we're doing this now, but it's something we wanted to do. And Mark, back to what you were saying about paying for a site and investing in that, then you really need to invest to use it optimally. And Catherine and I struggled a little bit with, how much should we charge? Because they're already paying for a membership. Do we want to charge talent? So we're very conscientious about how much we charge for this. We have to pay for our time. And as Catherine mentioned, we're doing it 1 hour at a time, one person at a time. So we tried to make it really reasonable, given all the value that's in here, to elevate everybody's game. There's really no reason not to help everyone and make sure everyone's using it properly to make it more effective as a platform for our benefit.
As somebody who coaches and who sells courses, I guess one of the pillars of my philosophy is that I want people to think, if the amount of free information that you have given away is this good, I can't even imagine what the rest of it must be like. And I mean, I'm telling you, I didn't know 90% of the things that you guys have just given in this last half hour or whatever it's been. And so I am so grateful and so appreciative for the amount of free information, which means I know that whatever you've got going on in your course is only going to next level all of that. So it absolutely makes it worthwhile for anybody that wants to get the most out of this platform. So let's talk about it, because You do offer a few different services as the V123Pros. There's coaching and classes and different things like that. So talk to us a little bit about the way that you are able to assist the everyday VOpreneur who's trying to level up on Voice123.
100%. Super, super excited that we've put in an update. So anyone that purchases our course has a lifetime membership to it, which means any updates we make just add on to that. No one pays anything extra. And that was really important to us because Voice123 makes changes all the time. And so whatever we put out there, we don't want it to be dead. We want it to be alive and up to date. So we're really excited that now that the course has been out for quite a while, we've now added a whole new update to make sure that everything is today as we say it is, although we can't guarantee tomorrow it'll be exact same because they make so many updates. Further to that, Catherine and I offer one-on-ones and also some profile audits and audition audits, and we can help people with their profiles, and we can elaborate on that. But the course to us is where everyone needs to start, and we realize it may be a bigger investment. The course is currently $150, but it's 150 minutes of modules that breaks everything down granularly, if that's the word. And it's broken down into sections, so you just watch it at your own pace in short increments. We can't
try and make it really easy to
digestible.
Yep. And it's everything that I try and explain technically is for anybody who is very non-technical. And I have gotten compliments that people can understand it. So that makes me feel good.
Right on. One other question I was going to ask, but you guys already answered it. I was curious if the course was right for everyone or if it mattered what level of experience or what membership tier you were at. But I think you already answered that in saying, Natasha, you're a platinum member. Catherine, you're a premium member. You guys are doing the same things from the course and you're making it work for you on your respective profiles. So really, if you've got a Voice123 profile and a membership, I'm assuming you would want to at least have the premium membership. This course is pretty much for anybody that falls into that category then. Is that fair to say?
Even for folks that have a free profile, if you have a language that is sought after and not very common on the platform, you can still audition effectively with a free profile. It really just depends on the person.
I want to boast. I'm really proud of the fact that people who have been on Voice123 for a long time or left it will learn something. And then if you're new, I don't recommend you do Voice123 until you've done our course. Again, it sounds boastful, but it's about being effective on the platform, and you can really tank if you don't play the game appropriately. We do have at the beginning of our course a document. Read this if you're new to VO or Voice123 to decide if you should take it at all. But if you're considering Voice123 or you're on it, you want to use it to the best possible extent that you can. And I really recommend this with ego free over here.
Well, it's funny when I get really awkward and uncomfortable lots of times talking about my courses, right? Because it's really easy for me to tell you that it's great, and it's really easy for me to say, yeah, you should buy this or whatever. But I will say I run mastermind groups, and last year was the first time that several members of one of my mastermind groups took the course. And this is how I kind of started to get introduced to it. And every single one of them that took it within like weeks, we're out of the basement. We're up in the rankings. Yay. We're booking new jobs, like every single one of them. And so I referred a whole bunch of people from my mastermind groups this year. Same thing happened. Like the one member was she was done. She was so upset. She's ready to quit because she just felt like she couldn't get out of the basement, started doing what you taught in the course, and it was already working. So even though I can't personally say that I've used it, I can personally vouch for how good this is and the information that is in it based on what I've gathered from the people that I do coaching with. And so, let's be honest, $150, like, are you kidding me? That barely buys you an hour of coaching with most people now. So
that's right.
That is that's not a big investment, especially when you're talking about over the course of 12 months, how much earning potential do you have on a site like Voice123? So $150 is a tax write-off that is, that's a small price to pay to make the platform work for you. So Natasha,
and we do have
Catherine.
a lot of really great little juicy nuggets in there, and Natasha's secret sauce, and lots of stuff that we haven't covered. I know we covered a ton of stuff already on the podcast, but believe me, there is so much more.
So tell us where we got to go to find it. For anybody that's looking to find whatever, any of the services that you offer, whether it's the coaching or the course or any of that stuff, where do we have to go to get it?
Sure. It's just V123Pros.com. We lucked out and got that web URL. So V123Pros.com. I also want to mention that we offer audits, meaning I'll look at your profile and give you feedback, or I will listen to some auditions and let you know if it's bookable or why not. But I really do recommend that you educate yourself with the course first before you do anything else, because it will open your eyes to how you need to roll on there. Can
definitely be a case of you don't know what you don't know.
What you don't know.
Until you know.
Totally.
So,
That's literally what's happening to me as we're conducting this interview. I'm like, holy crap, there's so much that I don't know, which now I do. So again, I can't even imagine how much more somebody's going to learn through the audit process, through the course process. One thing I wanted to ask, affiliated with Voice123 or not affiliated with Voice123? Because some people might be wondering that. Are you like the course and what you're offering?
Yeah, so
Another great
all
question,
of the
Mark.
Original content, everything that we've learned has been through Natasha or my own experience, plus emailing customer service, etc. We built the course in December of last year, no affiliation.
No affiliation, okay.
And then after about 7-8 months of selling the course and, teaching at conferences and such, we were approached by Voice123 to say, hey, are you interested in being affiliated with us? We'd like to give all of your students a 20% discount on their memberships, renewals, upgrades, etc., because we like what you're doing and we want to make sure that our users are using it effectively. And why should we make our own course when you already have a great one? So we are now affiliated with them. We did not change any of the content. We don't have, insider knowledge in any kind of way that anyone else wouldn't have access to. But just as a FYI, we can now save you 20% off of your membership because we are affiliated.
So the course itself is still totally independent. And I think that would matter to some people. This isn't like something that Voice123 rigged up to try and generate more memberships or whatever. So the course itself is fully independent. But if you take the course, you want to up your membership, whatever, you get a deal on that. There's nothing wrong with saving a little bit of money. That helps offset what you invested in the course. Well, Natasha, Catherine, thank you so much. I have learned a ton.
Yay.
And I don't even use it, so I can't imagine for anybody that is a Voice123 member. I mean, after you listen to this episode, if you don't go to your profile and start checking some things out, you are missing out on an opportunity just from the gold that was given here. And the website again is V123Pros.com. That's V123Pros.com. I'll stick that in the show notes. Check out the course, the audit, the free downloads that they have available too. There's plenty of information to help you really level up your game on Voice123. Thank you both so much for being here.
Thank you so much
Mark.
for sharing. We greatly appreciate your generosity and your graciousness. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you for your testimonial.
I know you learned things in this episode. I know that if you are a Voice123 user, you absolutely learned things in this episode. So let me ask you a quick favor before we wrap up. If you learned something, if you drew value from this particular episode of the Everyday VOPRENEUR podcast, do me a favor. Would you share it in your Instagram stories and then tag me at Mark Scott? I'd love to see it. I'd love to know what you're learning. I'd love to be able to share it as well. So if you learned something, share it in your Instagram stories and please tag me at Mark Scott on Instagram. Thanks so much for listening. I'll catch you on the next one.
The Everyday VOPRENEUR podcast. Available everywhere fine podcasts are given away for free. Mostly, we think.
Your voiceover demos are your #1 marketing tool, and you need to display them on your website in a way that works on any device or browser. VoiceSam is the player producers love. Plus, it offers tools that can improve your email signature, quickly create a one-page website, and much more. Sign up now at voicesam.com/MarkScott and get 3 months of the base player for the price of one. That's voicesam.com/MarkScott for full details and to sign up.
And scene.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for hanging in. Thanks for hanging out. Want more VOPreneur goodness? Jump online at VOPreneur.com.